Welcome to Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow podcast. My name is Yellow, and today I'm your host. And I'm privileged today to host Dr. Sasa, the one and only, the young lion who's no longer young now. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Sasa has been practicing naturopathy and he is a renowned speaker around this field. Over 20 years he's been doing his thing. And today we host him on our podcast where we explore topics that impact your lives, your faith, and your future. And today is no different. And today we just want to delve into the fascinating world of natural healing. And we have our guests to help us run through that topic. How have you been, Dr. Sasa?
Well, we have been fine. The Lord has been taking good care of us.
Yeah?
Yes, so
We're finishing the calendar year on a high note.
on a higher note.
I've seen this December you're not playing. You are in gear 5.
I mean, a man must live his destiny. We have to optimize all the opportunities that come our way.
Yes.
And if anything, we have to redeem our times. If we have not been
Right.
performing well, we need to accelerate.
We have to redeem. I like that. We have to redeem our time.
Yes.
For the days are
Evil. Yes.
Wonderful.
We need to redeem time.
So for the sake of our audience, we want to start from the beginning. Who is Dr. Sasa? Somebody who doesn't know you.
Okay, so Dr. Sasa is a simple man. He's a family man.
Right.
Yes, he married, of course, to my beautiful Kresha, and then with the 4 children, beautiful children.
Why was it important to put beautiful on your wife?
Of course, she's beautiful. That's what meant me go for her.
Uh-huh.
Yes, without her being beautiful,
Uh-huh.
by beauty, we mean a lot of substantive things.
Yes.
Definitely. She has been an amazing spirit in my life.
Mm.
Yes. Life will not be complete without mentioning her efforts.
Right.
Yes.
The Sasa that we know today obviously did not just happen today.
Yes.
You came from somewhere.
Yes.
Can you tell us just a bit of where you come from?
Yeah, maybe it will also be important to say that I was conceived some 47 years ago. I came into existence from my mother was Beatrice Lutangu Sasa,
Right.
and dad was Mr. Mwangala Sasa. So I was born in Lusaka, of course, raised in Chilenji South, where I did my primary at Muyoma Primary School, and then went on to do my secondary education at Libala High School. And then from there, of course, at first I did not get good grades. I had to redo. 1996, I think we were a bit playful. We are still in the world, Cairo Road. So from there, after some, a drawing map, we went to a drawing table to strategize the future.
Right.
And then we had to do some rewriting, and then we were able to get merits.
Results.
Yes, good results. And then from there, of course, there were attempts to go to the university, and we were not admitted. We went to
God had a plan.
yes, in Kuruma teacher training with the best results, but again, we could not be successful.
God
we
had
went
a
to
plan.
David Livingstone because I wanted to do teaching
Right.
so much. So again, I was not successful. That was in 2004. So after that, I seemed to see, by the way, my mother also was a literature evangelist.
Right.
So that woman helped me so much in my spiritual journey, especially that each book she would give me. Each book that before she sells, she would read and then hand it over to me. So that gave me that inspiration to actually launch into the naturopathic world.
Right.
The books themselves were very much amazing. Healing wonders of plants. I started reading how it was important and God's design, how it was able to resonate with our spirituality as well as our health going forward. So
Right.
I began to have that interest until finally we got trained by a program.
Before we
Yes.
get to that training,
Yes.
I want us to I want you to tell me something about your upbringing.
Yes.
In your upbringing, who influenced you the most in terms of shaping your character between your mother and your father? And what are some of those characters that you see in yourself that you can actually attribute to your parents and their impression on you?
Okay, when I look at dad, he was able to give us, the educational, backup because he was economically buoyant.
Right,
Then mom was so much on the church side.
right,
Yes, so when it comes to the education itself, dad was the one who did more, so we can't take it away from him. He actually did a good job. And then, but on the spiritual journey, I must say that mom played a major role.
right.
Yes, being the Dr. Sasa that I am, I think dad provided the educational background, but the spiritual journey which led to my major actually is attributable to my mother.
Excellent.
Yes.
Mothers have so much influence on us, and we continue to celebrate women. But diving deep into the natural world now, you start your practice.
Yes.
And what led you to start practicing naturopathy? Which is basically, I want you to define what naturopathy is for a layman who is listening to you now.
Okay, so after the training, we also saw the need of entrepreneurship.
Right,
Medical missionary does not wait for somebody to say go.
right,
We had to push ourselves after we got the training, the knowledge was there. But of course, we had to work with some companies, TNC, Sunrider, and so on.
right.
So after that, we saw the need to say, basically, we are just working for people.
We can
Why?
stand on
What
our
they
own.
know is what we know. So why don't
Right.
we put up something? And I must also mention that at the time, I think I was staying with Brother Move Sianga. He also has impacted my life in one way or the other.
Great.
Because he brought in the suggestion to say, see, we are trained, but we can't we come
Just
together
come
and then
together.
start up something? I think that one was a springboard that actually led us to where we are. We
Excellent.
could not have not been successful together running like C&M Ebo Clinic, which
Yeah.
we started with, me, Brother Moe, and Brother Ahmad Piri. But what he ultimately led to where we are is that it has been in a pattern of events, experiences with people that were able to play a role.
Right.
So Brother Moe, Brother Ahmad, we still understand that that vibe, it actually was very much great. It sparked a journey
Right.
that has catapulted us to the present day, practice. Of course, we set up Pisgah Herbal Clinic as a Sasa family now. Yes, so Pisgah now is what we are running, and we also would like to mention that we have also done reproductive health from 2016 to 2020, an advanced certificate with the billings. Actually, we actually have done reproductive
So
health.
you can teach us how to
Reproductive health, we are cocked and loaded on that.
You can teach us how to do child spacing. You can teach us
Yes,
how
if
to
you want a boy,
navigate that.
yes.
Even if you want a boy, you can.
Yes, we are able to give that.
My
How people
brother.
can actually go space the children
Yeah.
without necessarily having these injectables, drugs,
Right.
and so on.
Okay, having talked about that, let's start from the bigger picture. Can you tell us about how the natural healing started? Where did it all begin in terms of the natural healing concept itself? Who is the progenitor?
Okay, the most important thing to understand is that this world does not exist without the master designer.
Right.
And God is in every bit, in the detail of it all. God is the one who initiated the concept of creating man, creating this world. We hear him say, let us make man. And before he set man in motion, we actually see him providing the environment. I think Genesis gives us the detail. So the Bible is the most instructive history that humanity has, and nobody can take away from it. So the beginning of life, the beginning of agents that promote life are all attributable to the Almighty. We hear also in Genesis chapter 1, after creating man, he actually prescribed even the fuel that man was to subsist on.
By fuel, you mean food?
Yes, biological fuel definitely is food.
Okay.
Yes. So he actually gave man what he was to subsist on. And that was a natural fuel. That was to burn naturally in the system. So the human combustion engine was predicated upon this natural fuel. Because every company, if it's Toyota or any other company that is designing a car, definitely you do not have to consult any other person for the fuel.
You are the manufacturer.
Yes, the manufacturer must give you even a catalog on how that machinery works. So guess who is in the detail concerning what type of fuel we should? It's God himself. I have given you every herb-bearing seed, in whom is a fruit-yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat.
For meat.
So definitely that word meat simply means food. So we definitely see the natural fuel.
So that's the genesis of
the food was not just to give and support life generally, but it was also to heal. Then he also says that I've given you every herb to service the body.
Talking about herbs, Dr. Sasa.
Yes.
There's been a debate that has been sparked for a couple of decades now.
Yes.
Where you have naturopathy and pharmaceutical clashing in the space we call marketplace. Each one of the school of thought is pushing their agenda. But from what I see, one school of thought has more muscle in terms of financial. So they dominate the marketplace. But from what you have explained in terms of the genesis of the concept, the one who brought up the concept of natural healing is God himself.
Yes.
So the debate shouldn't be there, of course, but it's there. How do you look at the issue of, how can you define for us the two healing processes? Natural healing, which is naturopathy, and pharmaceutical, which is drug-based.
Okay, definitely what we are seeing is that when God created everything, in Genesis chapter 1, I think verse 31 to 32, somewhere there, he says, behold, everything was very good.
Yes.
You see that? So, it has been man's endeavor to put God in the sidelines of what he has created. How wonderful it would have been if nature was let to take its course. But you are seeing this intellectual or civilized, interjection to put that which was natural to make it look bad. Something that was created good, but is now being made by what is known as organized, curriculum. So what we are seeing here is that a taking away of that which God had put together. The negative, the evil plan would be that what God said is good will be turned into what is bad. When God says you shall sweat, but the Bible still tells us to say men shall be lovers of pleasure. So you can actually see like Newton's law of, which says to every action there is an equal opposite reaction.
Right.
So we must understand, especially people that are Christian, wired towards the scripture. Right. We must observe that which is noted in the scripture of truth. Because who is telling the truth is definitely not man. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free.
So natural healing has got origin from God. So, and the pharmaceutical.
So God designed everything in nature, and nature is complete.
Complete.
Nature does not need adjectives. It's a noun. No one should come and help it.
It can help itself.
It helps itself. Even healing, it helps itself. Let's just go back. People were able to embalm in civilization, in antiquity. You'll find that people were able to embalm. The pharaohs, for example, of Egypt, they would preserve the king. Using just natural method. And then somebody would go into their graves for thousands of years. preserved. So what we are just seeing is that nature is complete. I mean, just go to the wildlife.
Yes.
Who is the monitor there? Who tells them how to drink clean water?
No one.
Who tells them when they fall sick that they should take tablets? And nature takes precedence. So the duty of the world now, the world is in intellectual prodigality.
Prodigality.
So it needs to come back.
We've departed.
We are making that call that the world is in prodigality. The very fact that the world is now in deep sickness, that almost everyone has to visit the hospital to go and visit a relative. In almost every household, they must have an ambassador at this health. It shows that the world is having a huge share of its misery.
But that's where my question is, because you are having hospitals with numbers of patients, yet you have unnumbered drugs in thousands and millions. So where is the puzzle? We are having more drugs, still having more patients and more deaths.
And we're having more training of health personnel,
doctors,
more recruitment. The
yes.
cry is that we need more hospitals.
Yes.
And yet
so
nobody is crying for knowledge. Hippocrates, who lived in the 3rd century BC, actually tells us that there is one evil, and that is ignorance.
Ignorance.
And there's one good, and that is knowledge.
Wow.
May your food be your medicine, and your medicine be your food. It's as simple as all that. Those are wise men. Those are wise men. So what we actually need to do is to return back to Eden.
Where
we need to go back to Eden, where God had designed things originally. You can never, the world is actually in a quagmire. It cannot move. It needs just to turn back and discover God's natural pharmacy. The food industry itself is actually in a mess because it is predicated upon the desire to look for something that looks more polished, looks more tasty, looks more the appearance which looks nice, almost like Eve, when he saw the forbidden fruit. And he actually said it was appealing to the eye, and then that is what triggered the desire to say this one is going to give wisdom, a knowledge more than which God had not, given. So the world today is discovering all these, cosmetic products that are coming on the scene. But at the height of it all is the deficiency that is being created in the processing, leading to the diseases now of today.
But Dr. Sasa, the issue you are saying that people should go back to Eden, your work has been to some extent, and when I say your work, I mean generally the naturopathic world. Why are you not in the forefront pushing for the work, pushing for the natural healing, whereas the pharmaceutical industry are building hospitals, they are giving relief to people, they are giving antibiotics and all these conditions? You go out today, in every third adult you meet, they are on drugs, and those drugs are keeping people. When you come to the herbs and the herbology, even dosage, it's argued that you don't measure, you just give. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, of course, people always represent their interests from their standpoints. Definitely, somebody who is in that pharmaceutical world cannot speak good of. It's like going to the Democrats and asking them if a Republican candidate would deliver. So the answer is obvious.
Right.
But that's why we represent. And by the way, we are not in the closets. I think we are no longer going to stand in the peripherals. The world is perishing and we need to save the world. And we are now putting ourselves in the overdrive that we can reach out to meet the houses and so on, to say, if at all we want to give people the platform to actually choose which side they want to be.
Options.
But what we cannot do is to sit and do nothing, especially when we are seeing that the world is reaching a crisis. Right. What we are having is that we can't keep the graveyards. You know, every time the graveyards are open, receiving the sons of the soil, the daughters of the soil, we cannot do nothing. We have to do something so that we become proactive enough to tell the people what needs to be done. For example, drinking water. The world has become very much busy. Hydrotherapy, it can do wonders. A food in its natural state, for example, if it's grain, somebody would not want to just have wheat in its original and then cook that one and enjoy. Or sometimes even sprout the wheat so that it gives you multiple nutrients and just eat that one. But somebody prefers bread. Actually, others on average, you find that somebody has even reached up to 20 years without even seeing wheat. All they know is the byproduct of wheat. It's just bread or even scones. So we need to go to a level where there is massive education. We are seeing the world, they are changing curriculum. Us, we are not changing anything. We are bringing it in its crude form because it's enough. How about just getting food the way it was created without taking away? We always use this principle to say what God has put together, let no man take away. Put
marriage.
Put your son. It's not just in marriage. It is in everything, even our food articles. I mean, you refine it and then that's when you now fortify it. How much more not just eating it in the first place? You just eat it the way it is.
Dr. Sasa, the World Health Organization, the highest body in terms of accreditation of information in the world, identifies 5 killer diseases or as lifestyle non-communicable diseases, the likes of cancers and heart problems, diabetes, strokes, and all these conditions that are non-communicable. And all these seem to me like they are premised on lifestyle. They are like lifestyle conditions, very much preventable. I always wondered why the entire world would be letting people die in millions every single year, yet the conditions that are killing the people are preventable and they are non-communicable. It's not like it's outside the control of human beings. What's your take on the global approach before we bring it down to you and your efforts? What's your position and your thoughts around the approach that the world is taking vis-a-vis the diseases ravishing the people globally?
Yeah, because what it is in the first place, you are looking at a symptomatic approach.
Right.
People deal with symptoms and not the root cause. In naturopathy, we are taught to reason from cause to effect. Whereas the other side, they just deal with effect. So that is where the problem is. You have got people that are well informed in the conventional, medicine. Somebody is asked to say what causes cancer. They cannot say.
Explain.
They'll just say, so the cause is not known.
Yeah.
Now, how do you treat something when you do not understand the causative factors? It's like going to the airport to receive a guest whom you do not know whether he's in a white suit or a black suit. How do you go and receive somebody you do not know even how they look like? So this is been the cause. That's why we are talking about one evil, which is ignorance. Because definitely when you talk about, for example, constipation, that is able to lead to stagnation of the content of the stomach. That can go even up to 2 weeks. Then the toxins begins to shoot. Evil bacteria begins to form. And then after that, there's a reabsorption of these toxins into the colon, leading to the bloodstream. And once it goes to the bloodstream, then it's a free flow. They can go to the brain, they can go to the liver, and every weaker spot, cancer can start to tabernacle.
Brother Sasa, you are saying constipation, we all know, where you don't go to the toilet.
Yes.
You are stuck because there's things in your colon.
Yes.
You are saying that there is reabsorption of that dirt into the bloodstream. And then that bloodstream then flows to all parts of the body, including the brain.
Yes.
So are you then also telling me that that's fecal matter in our blood?
Yes. Definitely.
Going to the brain?
Definitely, that's what it is. What do we eat is absorbed from where? The intestines.
Yes.
Yes. So the issue is that the reabsorption, if that food has putrefied,
Right.
has become toxic, what do you expect the body? The body has to do its job of assimilation, absorption.
Doesn't matter what is there.
Yes. This is why it is very much important to have a clean gut. By one having colon irrigation, foods that are substantial, foods that are consolidated, foods that are original. For example, if you are having somebody with just white flour products and then you've got a carbonated drink there and maybe a sausage somewhere there, that's somebody's lunch from January to December. How can a human being begin to think properly? You see that even a dementia, these mental problems are coming because the body is not finding anything. You are busy every time on the computer, you're a secretary, you do not have even time for vegetables.
Right.
You even say, because of these foods that are able to condition us, or you become like addicted. What is the other word? Something that is able to condition you to just liking, sweet, acidic things.
Yeah.
You see, these drinks that have got soda, rich in phosphorus,
Yes.
they are disturbing the chemical balance within the body. So you are actually having things that are, stuck.
In
Because
layers.
peristalsis is not aided.
Wow.
Because a disease is nature crying out for help.
A disease is nature crying out for help. So a disease is not your enemy.
It's not our enemy.
It's an alarm
It's a
system.
signal. It's like you are having thieves that are breaking in, and then there's an alarm that tells you to say somebody's at the gate. Then the problem now becomes the alarm instead of the thieves.
So we must not be
this
scared
is why
of
we are
disease.
saying that the world is in prodigality. It needs these platforms. We need more of these platforms so that we can send the message across. That
But
the world
anyway,
must know.
you digressed.
Yes.
We digressed.
Yes.
I was asking you, top 5 killer diseases, yet they are preventable.
Yes.
You've identified one aspect very important, the ultra processed foods.
Yes.
Maybe we can just delve a bit into that area. Companies, manufacturers,
Yes.
factories have put profit ahead of quality.
Yes. Health.
Food is processed.
Yes.
How impactful is deprived
Devitalized.
food
Yes.
on the body?
Yeah. The better term, in fact, we call them devitalized.
They are devitalized.
When they enter our system, they become a burden. Instead of the body benefiting,
The body is
it becomes a
losing
burden.
out.
So the body has to burn more vitamin B to actually deal with these foods, especially of animal origin. So you'll find that the body is burdened and the immune system keeps on dwindling. Because the food is supposed to give us healing and it's supposed to repair the body tissues, cells, and then nourish the organs. But we actually see. Let me talk about processed. What usually happens is, say for example, you're having a processed, like bread, or even
Which
meal
is
in
white
our,
bread
yes,
or breakfast
yes.
meal.
See, what you are just having there is just
Starch.
starch on, and maybe a bit of gluten there, protein.
Yeah.
So that protein will need B complex
To be broken down.
Yes. So now you have got somebody who's just having that one with the sausage.
With a carbonated drink.
Yes, with the carbonated drink.
Or
So then you find that one, that flour which is refined, as it goes there, and coupled to that is people, when you are having unrefined foods, there's lack of roughage. It deprives you of even the thirst to drink clean water. That's why you find that people only drink a small cup only at meal times. But on average, an average human being weighing 60 and above, they are supposed to be having at least 3.5 to about 4.5 liters.
every
Dr.
single
Sasa,
day.
here you have seen that I've come with my 1.5 liter. I
Yeah,
take
man,
that
I
one
saw
3
you.
times. Morning I had already in lemon water and with the red clover to actually wash the system. Then you have breakfast. So you actually see with plenty of vegetables, even if there should be more vegetables chasing too few nshima. But you have somebody with a very big chunk of nshima, which is just starch, little relish. That is suicide.
We are Africans.
We are Africans, but our Africanization must also
Come with
be
knowledge.
checked by knowledge so that we survive. And as we age, hydrochloric acid becomes depleted. So the digestion of these food articles becomes, yes, and then we begin to suffer from diabetes and so on. No wonder these diseases of civilization, which are preventable, they are no longer being preventable now. They are becoming commonplace. On average, we anticipate that after 30 years, we begin to think of which disease is going to kill us. When we are supposed to be living up to 90 years. So this is a crisis, but it's a crisis because of lack of knowledge.
Lack of knowledge.
Yes, so roughage, if it is lacking in the food, you cannot expect the food to be moving smoothly and fast to be expelled. On average, food is supposed to leave the system within 18 to 24 hours. If it does not leave the system, then it is going to cause us sickness.
So how many times should a person go to the toilet?
So if
not to pee, but to do number 2.
So the issue is that now you have got people that even eat 5 times, and yet they don't go to the loo. Maybe it's just once. 5 meals. Because this is a generation of eating and drinking, as Christ will say it, as it was in the days of Noah. People are eating too much than they are able to empty. There is no equilibrium between ingestion and also, outletting the food.
Yes. So
there has to be that balance. The world must come back to colon irrigation. They must eat foods that are fast moving. And that is, there must be a lot of fiber. There must be fruits in their natural form. And we must also have, drinks that are natural. What is difficult with just getting carrots and blending them? Then you put a lemon there. And then you even put some honey there and drink it in its purity. What is wrong with all that? But we are seeing that it's a busy world. And we are also seeing that everybody is busy. Fast foods. People want things that are fast. No wonder even our dying is very much fast. We are departing the earth more than we are coming. Yes.
There was an experiment that was done. They squeezed the lemon, yes, the juice, the orange juice, yes, in a glass.
Yes.
And then they got also what is called as 100% juices that we buy in the stores.
Yes.
You know those ones in Tetra Packs.
Yes, yes.
They poured in 2 glasses and gave them chance. Within 48 hours, they came back to see, they left them open. 48 hours to 72 hours, there was serious degenerative effect, and the juice, the natural juice, went bad, got destroyed. The other juice that we call natural and 100% was still okay, exactly the same with the one that is left in the Tetra Pak packaging. That goes to show what you are saying, that what is wrong to get the juice, the natural juice, and drink it rather than going to the store. So even what is termed as natural is actually not natural.
It's not natural.
When we go to the stores, we find something written organic. It's actually not organic.
But you actually see that even the germ world, the bacteria world, know where to visit. How about human beings? You get a grain of maize there, you find rats who eat, but you go to the one that is shelled, refined, they will not even touch it.
No, they won't.
Even if it's a meda of those that are deprived of the embryo. Yes. The rats will not touch there. Why should nature be more intelligent, wise than ourselves? So you see that because of feeding these unnatural foods, even our brain is becoming, unreasonable and dull and less intelligent and less wise. No wonder even the word of God, it is difficult to understand the word of God as we are studying.
You're telling me that there's a connection between what we eat and how we discern God's word?
Yes. I actually was researching on mental health, that to a larger extent, what we are being told is causing mental problems are actually nutritional deficiencies. For example, you are supposed to have magnesium, and most of it, we are able to get it in most of these leafy, as well as these nuts and grains.
Yes.
You are able to have a lot. Like, for example, wheat has got a lot of magnesium. Magnesium is what processes the information as we receive it. If I'm saying, bring that chair, it is magnesium that is at work. It's one of the most omnipresent mineral of the nervous system. Then there's manganese, which is supposed to help us to remember.
Right.
Yes. Digesting the information, getting the information as somebody is speaking, magnesium. Then to store that and to bring that data when we need it, it takes manganese. So these are minerals that are naturally found.
And what do we find the manganese?
Manganese, for example, herbs like ginkgo.
Ginkgo biloba.
Yes, those are very much rich. You have got all nuts.
All nuts.
All grains, especially wheat germ, has got all those.
What about
brewer's
meat?
yeast? Sorry?
In meat?
Yeah, it is there, but you see, that one is secondary. We need to get it primarily.
Okay, continue your thought.
Yes, so this is why you find that even the downess that we are seeing, if you want to see a down child, look at the type of food that they're eating. Because the brain needs balance. The brain needs the largest share from whatever we eat, because that is the processing unit of the human frame.
Yeah.
So if it is deprived, devitalized, then the brain also becomes devitalized.
There's a trending diet called low carb diet.
Yes.
Where a lot of women, even in here part of this world in Africa, where people deprive themselves of eating carbohydrate. When you serve somebody, no, me, I don't take carbohydrates. It doesn't matter whether it's rice, brown bread, roller mealie meal. As long as there is starch or there's carbohydrate, they don't want to take. It's a low carb diet. Yes. Whereas science and also nature tells us that 25% of what we actually take, the brain gets that as part of energy to vitalize itself. What do you have to say about these trending diets where you deprive yourself and starve yourself, for example, just to lose weight? You miss meals.
Yeah, of course, what we are talking about is that the world is in prodigality. Because what we need is a balanced diet. If you just go for protein,
it's a problem.
Yes, it's a problem. So we need to balance it up because we need energy. After the age of 21, we need more energy. But we need it natural. The carbohydrates must be natural.
Yeah.
Must be original.
Yeah.
Not devitalized. So we actually see we need to cut so much on protein, because the religion of today is that protein is a queen. Yes, you see,
the most important.
Yes, but those are building blocks. After you are already built, you don't need more building. You just need less of repair and so on.
Yes.
So it's just a matter of knowledge.
Right.
Yes, it's a matter of knowledge, so that we actually put these things into their context. The major plant, nutrients.
Yeah.
We know them: carbohydrates, what have you, fats, and so on, proteins. Yes.
Yeah.
Then come now the micronutrients.
What about the concept of starving yourself to lose weight, for example? Missing meals. I've seen people who go to work and they only say, myself, I just eat at 14. That's all. In the morning, I can't eat anything. And when I go home now at 19, 20, I sit on the dinner table with my family and then feast. But during the day, I don't eat. But, I have to eat in the night, what I call dinner, or I go out with my family and eat. That kind of eating and lifestyle, I've heard you condemn it in terms of the balance and the concept itself.
Yeah, the whole agenda is on understanding, first and foremost, the nature of your work. Right. Because the food must be tailored towards our activity.
Right.
If you are on manual, you are working with maybe these electricity companies going to dig, then you want to put yourself on that one. It's a misplaced dietary provision. Your work, if it's manual labor, you have to know that there will need to be more carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Because you are burning calories, basically.
Yeah.
You see that? So you cannot have less of carbohydrates.
Right.
That one is the red line. You can have proteins, but they may not compensate, because much of the backlog of your work demands
carbohydrates,
Yes,
which is the primary source
Yes.
of your energy.
So if people just go into these things without understanding their, station of duty, then it becomes difficult for them to actually, they may go into that one, everybody has got a choice, but you see there are always consequences. Then also, if you are just saying you are just eating one meal and it's late, because naturally we are supposed to have a heavy meal morning.
When we wake up,
you load the tank when you are starting the journey.
but Dr.
You
Sasa,
load
people
enough
struggle.
fuel.
People struggle with breakfast. They are waking up. They feel foggy, and the appetite comes at 11.
So
Yet,
what usually happens, the disconnect takes place during dinner. If you are going to feast a very big dinner, then
Yes.
definitely, and foods that are refined, they cannot easily be digested. You will find that even when the morning comes, you will not be stampeded to eat in the morning, owing to the fact that the meal is still being digested. Or maybe the food has created toxins.
So then
when you are eating heavy, a vehicle does not need too much fuel when it's parking. But lo and behold, somebody loads when they are going to park. Then you are burdening the digestive organs.
Does not need fuel when it's parking. It's packed. Why are you adding more fuel? Where are you going?
Yes.
But guy, you need energy when you go to sleep to perform.
The body is able to store energy.
The
body is able to store energy. So it's a science.
So
late suppers are dangerous because the food that does not, the organs are supposed to be resting. Why are you sleeping?
You are resting.
It's not just the brain.
The body.
That's why sometimes you find that you want to sleep, you are tired, you are
restless.
Yes, you have eaten, to push you to want to sleep, but the problem is that there is that backload. There's a work to be done. So the brain will say, but you want to switch off when the program is still going on.
Yes.
You see that?
Yes.
So you'll be forced to have some horror movie. The body will manufacture a horror movie which you watched 10 years ago. Hammer House of Horror. It will come to hammer you and disturb your sleep so that you concentrate on the digestion. That is how God has created this brain. So
the brain is actually connected to the stomach.
Yes.
Somebody said, I read somewhere, was saying the brain is the extension of the stomach.
Yes. Whatever affects, in fact, the brain, those are the higher powers.
Right.
This is supposed to have a say by having an intelligent decision to command the lower powers. But the problem with the modern day, the era of Noah, the Noatic era, which is coming back, it's like a revolution. We are going back to the antediluvian world. The spirit, as well as also the feasting, is come back. So people are using the lower powers to educate the brain. That's a problem.
It has to be the other way.
The other way. So a clogged stomach is a clogged brain. So how do we make right decision? So the world is upside down. We need to bring it downside up by these powerful discussions.
But talking about the brain being clogged with the food we eat, is there a connection between the food we eat, the medicine we take, and our sexual life?
Yeah, because now what gives the power to the reproductive organs? You need zinc.
Yes.
But the zinc is usually taken out from refining. Selenium is taken out from the process of refining.
Right.
Vegetables that are overcooked, they can't give us that. It only provides trace elements. So how do we perform? No wonder we're having a very big statistic of divorce cases.
People are not performing.
People have got too much money and buying wrong food and rendering them infertile.
What?
So they cannot deliver. They are able to be CEOs of bigger companies, but they cannot be a CEO of their small bedroom.
You said something off the camera. You said one can rule the entire country, but they are failing to rule
a small room.
The small room. That's where the magic should happen.
Yes. And there are also elections in the bedroom. So people are being fired. When you get divorce, they are being fired. There are elections.
So what is the secret then, Dr. Sasa? We've talked about most of the problems. How do you give solutions to the world, a dying world? And we must state that the world is being controlled by the devil. The vicious cycle you're telling me now shows that the food system has been controlled by the devil. People are hooked and addictive to the food. When they get sick, they go to pharmaceutical that has been captured by the devil. They are on lifetime drugs. They are hooked. Where do they go?
By the way, drugs are synthetics. They do not correlate with the natural chemistry of the body.
Yeah.
We need the organic food articles to build the organs. You cannot mend something that is original by something that is artificial. I don't want to go far. But therein lies the magic. Drugs are becoming a staple food.
Every day people are taking. Every single day.
Yes. Imagine if you are sentenced to eating beans throughout until you die.
You can't be normal.
You do protest, but beans is a good thing. Now, what about these Panados? These drugs?
Yeah.
How do you survive? You hear, no, I need to take my medicine every time. How about I need to take my food? And it ends there.
So, Dr. Sasa, you're not on any drug?
Which drug, my brother? In Eden, there was no drugs. We are wired towards a Edenic path, my brother. That's why we are naturopathic doctors.
When you get sick, do you go to the hospital? Or you go to Pisgah?
You know, the whole system of naturopathy is 90% preventive. Because diseases don't just visit, they are caused.
It's not by accident that a disease comes.
If a disease comes as a result of you being bitten by malaria, I can understand. In which case we have got a heavy-duty tincture.
What's a tincture?
Tincture is a combination of various herbs.
You are famous over the tinctures that you have, and I've visited your clinic where you package and give your clients and your patients these tinctures. It's a concoction or a concentrate of different herbs put together, and then somebody takes.
Yes, so tinctures are a combination of whatever disease you want to deal with. You can bring this herb and put together, and then you give someone. They're just natural, you know.
So now when you are treating disease, Dr. Sasa, what is your concentration? Apart from giving them the tincture, what else do you then
give of course,
them?
there are individual herbs. There are herbs that you just work at just one ailment.
Yeah.
But there are also consolidation where you want to deal with maybe systems. You see, there are formulas. So that is the reason why, but in their natural form, you find that you are able to administer. If we want a tincture, maybe that's just a combination of herbs that just should deal with the nervous system. No, I've got problems with remembering. I read something, I'm a student, but each time I forget what I've just read, you know, some dementia loss of memory, and things like that. So you administer those things. So, but at the center of all these things is prevention. Prevention education is the best. Because we keep diseases at bay before they even land. It's the best defense is to keep your enemies at bay. You should oversee the disease coming. And it is also another science that we should know why we are sick. If you do not know why you are sick, you cannot trace where the sickness is coming from. There is also a problem of lack of education.
But medical doctors tell us when you go to the hospital that these conditions are hereditary. You cannot have control over these. We don't know how they come about.
So sometimes it's also important to challenge some of these theories. If you are saying something is hereditary, can you tell me that diabetes has hereditary,
Tendencies.
Yes. Where do we trace? Who was the first person to have diabetes? We should ask him where he inherited it from. Who was the progenitor of the diabetes from the very first person, from the time diabetes was discovered?
Yeah.
So all these are diseases of civilization. When the Industrial Revolution kicked in, we began to see also the mushrooming of these what diseases that are coming with that are coming as a result of this civilization, so-called, or falsely so-called. Because science is supposed to be confirming what God had intended. But if at all it contradicts the fundamentals of the master designer,
right,
then that science should be questioned. And fortunately, we are very much enlightened when it comes to biblical findings. We can never go wrong because Christ says, you are the light of the world. Only when we get that electricity from him,
we become the light.
Yes. So the issue of even tendencies, why we are seeing that, there's this defilement and whatever, didn't we know that one is traceable to also the food that we eat? If you look at Genesis chapter 9, God is saying you shall not eat the blood.
Yeah.
So what is in the blood? Character.
Yeah.
The characteristic of an animal
is in the blood.
Is transplanted to a human being through that transfusion of feasting. Because your blood now becomes the blood of that animal. And by the way, if we are talking about characteristics, we are dealing with character. That's where the genes, the DNA of that animal. So Satan is very much clever. He first of all creates a disconnect from the original diet so that he can launch us into whatever sin that he does. Even the antediluvian people, they started eating heavily of meat.
So
when they forgot the concept of God.
Fertile.
Yes, in today for a grandfather to touch is
imagine.
So that thing is not something. So we are talking about
the
mental problem,
psychology.
Yes, coming from food. So that animal which you are eating, an animal is able to mate with the mother without shame, without regret. It can impregnate the mother. Now you see that when we eat that in the blood, that's where those characteristics are passed on to human. Science has failed to come up with that finding. But these are stimulating foods. And they alter our normal thinking pattern. So when we read John chapter 1, in him was life. What is life? Character. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. That character is what comes from the blood. No wonder God was very much, averse to actually eating blood as well as fat.
Yeah, you have to remove.
Yes, because the fat is now stored, dead. So that's why we are actually seeing, we are failing to explain these adulteries. Somebody can't stick to the wife of their youth.
Dr. Sasa, you are saying that even cheating in homes can be attributed to the lack of nutrients and the food?
This is what we are saying. There's that lack of balance. I mean, there are people that eat meat from January to December. Do you really think that the upstairs can be balanced? These are stimulating food. When you eat other radishes, you say, no, me, I don't like this. I don't graze. I just want this. And even in vegetables, by the way, they don't. People that are actually not stimulated, they do not want more of vegetables. Food in its naturalness is not a desire, because what is bewitched are taste buds. So we need to cast out demons of the taste bud by returning to what is natural.
I wish I can continue. I wish I can continue with Dr. Sasa, but it's an explosive interview. But to finish off, the world is faced with prodigality, like you said. The battle is ignorance. And our podcast is premised on breaking down knowledge that is able to benefit people. Because it's one thing to go to school.
Yes.
It's another thing to be educated and apply yourself. How is it that the world, at least in this part of the world, too religious, but failing to apply ourselves?
You see, what the world is not telling us, or even sometimes the church is not telling us, that character is built in the home school and not at church. We take to church the religion of the home.
Right.
That is what religion meant to Daniel. That is what religion meant to Joseph. So the issue is that this issue of just sending children to church without parents themselves being enlightened about biblical facts, the truth itself. We have set aside what God's requirements, but we have taken science, falsely so called, that when somebody has done accounts, when somebody has done computer science, and there's nothing wrong with these things, but we must prioritize the knowledge of God so that we bring up our families the way God intended. The home school is a hallmark of true civilization. If parents are just, this one is an accountant, is married to a nurse, and then we are starting a home and give the burden of raising children to the church or the private school, the public school, then we are missing the point. We are raising a hybrid of incorrigibles.
Incorrigibles.
Both spiritually, both socially, and also intellectually. That's why you find the children that are being raised, they are antisocial. There's no foundation. When the foundations are broken, what can society do?
So what we see at church and what we see in society is indicative of what is happening
What
at
is
home.
lacking? The void is created in the home.
So trying to correct it at church level and societal level is an
It's
effort.
a vain effort.
It's a vain effort.
It's a vain effort.
We have to go back.
So
to
while
the
we are
basics.
busy, we need to start dabbling big time. More home religion, family altars.
Yes.
What the world needs is not too much advancement. It's just getting back to what was there.
Primitive godliness.
Yes. Reformation. Education.
Reformation.
Education. Our women are not supposed to be too busy. Being a wife is a qualification and it's a career. You don't just become a mother by just having a nursing certificate or a degree. No. You must understand the fundamentals and the intricate parts of what a home is, specifically raising children in a godly way, as well as also in the kitchen. That is where death is created. The constipation, the everything comes from the kitchen.
The kitchen.
The kitchen.
So the hereditary we talk about is actually from the kitchen.
What is inherited is a pot. There's nothing about the blood and genes.
Dr. Sasa, before we close, do you think that we haven't discussed something that you really wanted us to talk about?
Like we have said, the world is sick because of the kitchen. I think next time we need to delve so much deeper into the kitchen.
The kitchen itself.
Kitchen economics. Home economics, they are being taught at school.
Yes.
It is a home economics without substantive lessons. So we need to delve in those things and major in that.
Last time
so
you
that wives can start qualifying as wives.
Yes.
Not just mothers.
So kitchen is where disease comes from.
Yes.
Kitchen
and is where even a divorce comes from.
Because sex is affected by the kitchen.
Yes.
The pot.
The quality of food. By the way, we are also going to talk about next time the pots in the same home economics. The kitchen. The type of pots. Because if you are feeding me on something that is aluminum every time, you are affecting the absorption of food.
My goodness.
Zinc.
You have heard it for yourself. Dr. Sasa does not finish, but will adjourn at this point. What a beautiful way of ending this year, 2025. And I hope that people can sit down and introspect some of these things that we do every single day. And what customer codes us, we are born with fine traditions and we just flow with it. Nobody questions how these patterns of behavior happen. And that's why a platform like this is there, to break down knowledge and cut loose the ignorance that is killing people. It's been Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow podcast. My name is Jelo. And until we meet again, may God bless.